From the shining domicile that is Pittsburgh Comics, my old-mannered comic shop owner, Colin McMahon, transforms into the world's greatest comic book talking TV host. Join us true believers for Comics Now!
Hey everybody, welcome to Comics Now for October 2019. There's a chill in the air, well at least in the morning and at night, and it's getting back up to the 70s. But so there's going to be less yard work to do. I know I need to do one last cutting of my weeds, and there's going to be a lot more time for reading and sitting inside and relaxing. So October's a perfect month for that. One of the neat things about this October is it's a 5 Wednesday October, which means we get 5 weeks of shipments. So the publishers always like to add extra things. We get annuals and special events and stuff. So these months are always have a little more excitement, a little more stuff. Also this month is Halloween Comic Fest, which is on Saturday, October 26th, where we'll be having a little Halloween party here at the store. I'll have books to give away and things. But what I also have, I have packs of books for you to buy to give away instead of candy. And it's always fun. We've always been the house that did that. And they're like, oh, you're the comic books house. So kids kind of like that instead of the candy that they get a ton of. Sometimes some comics are kind of neat. So I'll have packs of those to sell as well to make you the cool house too. Our book club is going to be Friday, October 25th. I'm not sure exactly what we're doing yet. It's going to be horror themed. We have book club tonight. We're going to pick the next book, but it'll definitely be a horror themed book. And my monthly promotion for October is going to be double points on all horror related graphic novels, of which there are a ton, and especially come in and ask Tim because he's my horror guy. So if you need recommendations, he's the guy to ask. So let's get into what exciting stuff is coming out in October. First off, we'll start with Marvel. We've been doing House of X and Powers of 10 has been a huge success. Really cool story, kind of reimagining and resetting the entire X-Men franchise. And it's going to jump off in October where those 2 books are ending and leading into the new X-Men books, which is exciting. First one is X-Men 1. This is by Jonathan Hickman and Lionel Yu. And basically the X-Men find themselves in a whole new world of possibility and things have never been better. And as we know, that can't go well. So something will happen. We'll get some conflict, but it's nice. Hickman, who wrote House of X and Powers of 10, is taking over the main book, so he's going to definitely keep the themes going. And then a couple other books are coming out this month and even more in November. But we also have Excalibur, which is by Tini Howard and Mahmoud Asrar, who did a long run on X-Men. A New Dawn is forged. The other world is rocked by war. It is a new era for mutant kind as a new Captain Britain holds the amulet, fighting for the kingdom of Avalon with her Excalibur by her side, which includes Rogue, Gambit, Richter, Jubilee, and Apocalypse. So we'll see how that goes. Marauders #1. This is by Jerry Duggan and Matteo Lally. This is a neat one. Kitty Pryde is leading a group of basically they're sailing around the world on a ship, and they're off to fight people who are like the humans who are still fighting against the X-Men. And her voyage is funded by Emma Frost and her the Hellfire Trading Company. And her group is Storm, Pyro, Bishop, and Iceman, and they're sailing the seas. We also have a bunch of X-Men True Believers. They're putting out 10 of the dollar books, which are reprinting origins or in first appearances of a bunch of key X-Men. So we can keep an eye on those throughout the month. Facsimile editions, which are a little bit different, where they're just reprinting exact copies of the original issues, including all the ads and letter columns and everything. We're getting 2 really cool ones this month. We're getting Amazing Fantasy 15, which is the first appearance of Spider-Man, and we're getting Incredible Hulk #1, which is the first appearance of the Hulk. So those are going to be really cool. Absolute Carnage is still continuing. It was only going to be 4 issues. They added a 5th, so it's not finishing until November. But this month, in October, we're getting issue 4. We're getting Absolute Carnage versus Deadpool 3, Immortal Hulk tie-in, Lethal Protectors 3 and Miles Morales 3, Scream 3, so all those are wrapping up, and then also tying in with Venom 19 and Spider-Man 31. Speaking of Spider-Man, we have a couple new Spider-Man books. We have Amazing Mary Jane, and in the events of Spider-Man 25, Mary Jane hit it big, and she's going out to Hollywood and going to live her dream being the big actress, the famous actress she always wanted to be. Unfortunately, Mysterio was actually behind this, and someone even bigger and badder is behind him. So Mary Jane's going to have to figure out what's real, what's illusion, and what's just regular Hollywood phoniness. We also have Amazing Spider-Man Full Circle, where S.H.I.E.L.D. has engaged Peter Parker on a globe-spanning adventure to test him like never before and to save all of mankind. Aren't they all those? But this is a neat one. It's a big, thick book, and the creative team is basically every Marvel writer is taking a shot at this. So it's going to be a bunch of little stories. But so this looks like a big Spider-Man spectacular. We're also getting a new Spider-Verse book spinning out of the movie with those characters, with Miles Morales and Gwen and Peter Porker. So if you like the movie, this book will be for you. Because it's Halloween, and because of the success of Deceased over at DC, Marvel is bringing back Marvel Zombies, which started the whole thing, with Marvel Zombies Respawn. And this is a new story where they find the corpse of Galactus on the edge of the solar system. And as the Avengers, X-Men, and Fantastic Four to go to investigate, they realize too late that the body is just a vessel of new interstellar terror that will then take them over and send them back to Earth. Red Goblin, Red Dawn. During the end of the previous Spider-Man series, Norman Osborn had taken the Carnage symbiote and became the Red Goblin. And basically, Pat Gleason felt that there wasn't enough of that, and he wanted more of it. So he's decided to write some untold tales of what happened when Norman was the Red Goblin. So these are going to be stories that they didn't get to tell in the main book. Ghost Rider #1. They're bringing back Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider is the King of Hell. This is written by Ed Brisson and drawn by Aaron Kuder. And Ghost Rider is the King of Hell, and not only is he the King of Hell, he's also the Warden. So he's in charge of making sure everybody that's in there stays there and doesn't get out to wreak havoc on Earth, but he also has to defend himself against other demons that are trying to take his position and his power. So it's good to see Ghost Rider back. Fantastic Four Grand Design. Ed Piskor recently did X-Men Grand Design, where he retold the X-Men universe, or the X-Men story, in his style, big oversized books. And now Tom Scioli, who is another Pittsburgher, which is cool, is doing Fantastic Four Grand Design. So he's going to be retelling the story of the Fantastic Four in his style. We also have Doctor Doom #1, where a catastrophic act of terrorism killed thousands of people, and the main suspect is Doom. And how's he going to deal with this? Bizarre Adventures is coming. Bizarre Adventures used to be a magazine format book telling interesting tales, and I'm guessing this is probably more of a keeping the trademark and the copyright on the title alive, but we're getting a neat one-shot with stories of Shang-Chi, Ulysses Bloodstone, and Dracula. Also a new series, this is Future Fights First, and this is set in the future. I think it's more of the Asian stories that they've started with Arrow and Swordmaster, and they're bringing these in, and it's 3 different books. White Fox, Luna Snow, and Crescent and 10. So we'll see what these are. They're also doing, because it's a 5 Wednesday month, they're doing a weekly book for fun called Contagion. And in this, an unstoppable evil has come to New York City, and only the ground-based characters can fight it. And it's going to be Iron Fist and The Thing and Moon Knight and those kind of characters. So we'll be taking this on. That's going to be a weekly book throughout October. Immortal Hulk 25. This one's going to be interesting. It's a double-sized book, and the only thing the solicit says is, you've never read a Hulk comic like this before. You've never read a Marvel comic like this before. So I'm intrigued. Savage Avengers Annual we're getting a special story with Conan, Black Widow, and Damian Hellstorm, son of Satan, teaming up to do an adventure. Also getting a Doctor Strange Annual, where one of the dark relics that he's gathered throughout his years and put away in safekeeping has awoken and is now wreaking havoc on Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum, and he has to stop it. Journey to Star Wars Rise of Skywalker is a 4-issue weekly book coming out in October, which is going to be a prequel to the movie. They're doing it weekly so that they can get the graphic novel out and have that hit when the movie hits. So they don't want to give too much away, so they're doing it quick. So that's Marvel. Tons of really cool, interesting stuff. DC has a lot of neat stuff too. Being Halloween, they're coming out with a whole new line, which is by Joe Hill, who's established himself on Lock and Key, written a bunch of good novels, including Nosferatu, which is turned into a TV show that's out right now. He's also the son of Stephen King, so he comes by it honestly. But he has a new entire imprint over at DC called Hill House Comics. And they're going to be Black Label adult horror books. And the first one is Basket Full of Heads, where a girl is trapped on an island with these 4 murderers who have kidnapped her boyfriend, and the only thing there to help her is this ancient guy with this big sword that cuts off people's heads. But somehow they're able to keep talking, and they're talking to her, and she has to figure out what is true, what is lies, and save her boyfriend. Year of the Villain is continuing at DC. The next part is Doom Rising, where a cosmic force is coming to pass judgment on Earth. Will we survive? So the main story is in Justice League, but then it's also going to be touching on almost all their books. Action Comics, Aquaman, Batgirl, Batman, Batman and the Outsiders, Catwoman, Deathstroke, Detective Comics, The Flash, Hawkman, Justice League Dark, Justice League Odyssey, Nightwing, Red Hood, Supergirl, Superman, Teen Titans, The Terrifics, Wonder Woman, and even Harley Quinn. So there are also a couple of the Year of the Villain one-shots, and they've been really good so far, and the new ones look to be really interesting. There's a Joker one where Joker is on a mission to get his mojo back and to prove to the world that there's no greater villainy than the kind that leaves you laughing. The neat thing about this book is it's written by John Carpenter of Halloween and The Thing and all sorts of great movies. He's writing this one, so that's going to be interesting. We also get a Black Adam book written by Paul Jenkins, where Shazam, who has been infected by the Batman who laughs and is now evil, goes to Kahndaq, which is Black Adam's country, to take it over, and Black Adam has to oppose him. So that looks really good too. New book coming out, this is a 12-parter by Warren Ellis, Brian Hitch, and Kevin Nolan, called The Batman's Grave, where Warren Ellis is telling a long-form murder mystery with Batman. So that looks to be really good too. Also, Batman 251 Facsimile Edition, which is a classic Neil Adams Joker story. So we'll be getting that. A couple new Black Label books. We're getting Joker Harley Criminal Sanity, where this is a Harley and Joker story that you've never seen before, to putting a new spin on them, almost like a Bonnie and Clyde style. We're also getting Joker Killer Smile. This is by Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino. And basically Joker gets a new psychiatrist, so we'll see how that goes. Black Label is also giving us The Last God, and this is basically a high-octane, no-holds-barred epic fantasy. So this should be big and bold, and with Black Label, kind of no rules, so this should be good. Metal Men is coming. This is by Dan DiDio and Shane Davis. I'm a big Metal Men fan, so I'm looking forward to this. And basically a new metal has come through from the Dark Multiverse at Challenger's Mountain. And how are the Metal Men going to deal with this new metal? And I'm sure because it's from the Dark Multiverse, things won't go well. Then some other interesting things. Ruby, which I guess is a big online kind of manga story, is coming to comics for the first time, and it's going to be done by DC. Sandman Universe presents Hellblazer. So Hellblazer is back, and they're inserting him into the Sandman universe of books. So this looks good. This is kicking off their second year of the Sandman universe. This one's written by Cy Spurrier. Secrets of Sinister House. Every year they put out like a big $10, big thick kind of horror stories written by DC creators involving DC horror amongst their characters. And this is one of those. So Secrets of Sinister House. Superman Smashes the Klan. This is by Gene Young Lang. And it was a 1940s radio play that they're now adapting into comics. So it's kind of a little retro, a little nowadays. So we'll see how that goes with Superman. Tales of the Dark Multiverse. They're starting these. These are going to be big, thick stories where they're telling events that happened in the DC universe, but how they were portrayed on these other dark multiverse worlds. So the first one is Batman Nightfall. This is written by Kyle Higgins and Scott Snyder. And then they're also doing a Death of Superman. So interesting little twist on them, almost like a what if it happened on a different type of world. So looking forward to these. Then a bunch of annuals. They always pad that fifth week with annuals. So we're getting an Aquaman annual, a Batman annual, Tom King and Lee Weeks, who teamed up on the great Batman Elmer Fudd issue. We're getting a Batman and the Outsiders annual, Nightwing annual, and a Wonder Woman annual. And Deceased Ends, issue 5, comes out the day before Halloween. So I think they timed that one well. So that's the main stuff coming from DC. Or the new stuff coming. Main stuff keeps going, keeps on rolling. Coming out from Image, they have a couple neat number ones. First one is The Marked, where these kids have tattoos and they look like Instagram influencers and all that, where actually all these tattoos are actually magical glyphs of this ancient society that is tasked with protecting Earth from evil. So these kids look cool, but they're actually serving a neat purpose. Nomen Omen is a new one. I have a bunch of this coming in because they made it returnable, so I'm always happy to support those. So this is a tale of tales, witchcraft, and secrets that rewrites the rules of urban fantasy. So we'll see where that one goes. Chrononauts is coming out, and this is a little interesting one. Mark Miller has teamed up with Netflix to do a bunch of interesting things. There's one in the brand new previews that came out. It's like a blind bag comic. We don't know what we're ordering. It's a sequel to something else he has written, but we're ordering it blind. So this time what they're doing, they're trying something a little different, Netflixy, is it's Chrononauts, and he's bringing back, Corbin and Danny are back as time-traveling physicists attempting to conquer the future with their new machine, the Time Hawk. The interesting thing that they're doing with this is all 5 issues are coming out the same day. So they're kind of doing a binge watch, and instead of doing it as a graphic novel, they're doing them as issues. So we'll see how that goes. Chrononauts was a really good book. The first one was with Sean Gordon Murphy, and it was a really neat story. So it's nice to get a sequel. Interesting way to do it. Copra is coming out in comic form as well. This was originally done as his graphic novels. There were 4 or 5 of them that he self-published. This is Michael Fief. And so now he's bringing it to Image and doing it as comics. And basically he's reintroducing the entire cast of his Suicide Squad-esque revenge machine in a brutal standoff against their own leader. Now this is going to be our comic omnivore book. And basically the idea behind that is to get more people to try them. So they make them returnable for us so we can order up. And also we sell them to you at $1 off for that first week to get you to try something different. So this is going to be one of the books in October. They're also doing Dead Eyes #1. Now a while back, a year ago, they came out with a book called Dead Rabbit. And it's by Jerry Duggan and John McCrae, where basically this well-renowned stick-up artist disappeared after a big score, and now all of a sudden he's back and nobody knows why. They had a little problem. They got a cease and desist on the name Dead Rabbit, so they kind of shelved the book, and now they're bringing it back as Dead Eyes. So the first 2 issues already came out, but you can get them again, and then it'll go forward from number 3. Dark Horse has some interesting stuff. They're bringing back The Mask. The Mask in the comics was not quite as Jim Carrey-ized. He was a little darker, a little scarier. So they're bringing back The Mask. I pledge allegiance to The Mask, where he's going to try to take over. Also an interesting one. I'm intrigued by this one. The creator called, and I was shocked. I was familiar with the title, and I'd had some people ask for it. So I always feel a little connection when they do contact us. But Count Crowley, Reluctant Midnight Monster Hunter. Basic story is this aspiring TV news reporter gets demoted to weekend chiller feature host, and she's really not happy about this, and she has to take over for the host who went missing. And on her first night wearing the new costume, she runs into an actual werewolf. Or did she just have too much to drink before she went on air? So this looks fun. Should be interesting. Grendel is back. Matt Wagner has brought Grendel back, and Grendel Prime is now searching for a new planet for humanity since we have destroyed Earth. Ruby Falls is one from Ann Nocenti, where it's a mystery story, a neo-noir tale of love, memory, and murder, woven through 3 generations of women, all taking place in the city of Ruby Falls. Hellboy and BPRD is back with a one-shot, Long Night at Golsky Station. And then Disney's putting out a Little Mermaid book. So that looks fun, because it's always good to get the kids' stuff that the kids are familiar with. Like Frozen has been doing ridiculously well. Incredibles did well. So I'm looking forward to My Little Mermaid. IDW is revisiting something they did last year, which is Star Wars Adventures, which is their kids' line, Return to Vader's Castle, where it's kind of horror stories set with the characters you know. All of a sudden Luke Skywalker goes to Vader's castle, and it's like a horror thing. So that's fun. That's a weekly book. We're going to get one a week throughout the month of October. We're also doing an Addams Family book tying into the new animated movie, The Bodies issue. So if you like the Addams Family and want a little tie-in, that's coming. Rom is back, because you can never get enough Rom, but he's back with a new miniseries, Dire Wraiths. Neat one, Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid saga continues. This is a 4-issue story telling the story of Karate Kid, but from the side of Johnny. So you're seeing how things played out from his point of view. Star Trek Voyager Mirrors and Smoke. The Mirror Universe is the evil universe. From way back in the original series, they met their evil counterparts, and this is the first time that the Voyager cast, we've been seeing their evil counterparts. And then Joe Hill is back with another issue of Lock and Key, which is just a one-shot revisiting the characters but leading into a new series that'll be coming up. Dynamite is bringing us a new Vampirella book because we don't have enough, Vengeance of Vampirella. This book originally was a little darker than the regular Vampirella book, so I'm sure that's what this one's going to be. They're also doing Black Terror, which is one of their Project Superhero characters. They're bringing him back, and basically he's a mild-mannered pharmacist who is remembering his past in his youth when he was younger and was a superhero, and he's kind of wanting to get back to that, but he's not really the man he was. And then we're getting a Betty Page Halloween special and a Savage Tales Red Sonja Halloween special. Boom Studios has some neat stuff coming too. Strange Skies Over East Berlin. It's a Cold War spy story where the spy discovers that the Russians have this alien creature that they're trying to figure out how to use for their advantage, but he discovers that they can't control it and he has to stop it and them before this thing gets out. Hellmouth is a Buffy crossover event between Buffy and Angel, and then this is a special title where Drusilla and Spike are trying to open the Hellmouth and release hell on Earth, and Spike and Buffy have to stop them. Aftershock has some neat things. I normally don't I just talk about the comics, but they have a neat hardcover. It's an original graphic novel coming out called Horde, where after her father's death, Ruby goes back and tries to reconnect with her mom that she kind of hasn't been in touch with, and turns out Mom's a hoarder and has placed all of her love and affection on the items and trinkets that she has. And as Ruby's trying to help her declutter and become an unhoarder, the house decides that it doesn't like that. It likes the attention that it gets, and so it starts to fight her. And basically, the house is a giant maze, and all sorts of fun to see how that goes. Also, Dark Ark is back. This is a story of there was a second Ark back with Noah that had all the evil creatures saved, and that series finished, and now they're back with his Dark Ark after the flood and what happens now after both arcs run aground. They also have one, Shoplifters Will Be Liquidated, which is the story of a kind of an overzealous loss prevention manager and what he'll do to keep theft and crime down in his store. Ahoy, one of my buddies, we're actually doing book club this month, is an Ahoy book. We're doing Captain Ginger tonight. But they're back with Edgar Allan Poe's Snifter of Terror Volume 2. So we're back for Season 2 of that, so I'm excited. Alterna has an interesting one called Void Walker, where this hitman is near death and he bonds with this otherworldly creature and now gives him powers, and he goes to seek vengeance not only on the people that tried to take him out, but also on this other world where this creature's from, because now he has the power of vengeance. Lion Forge, they've been talking about this for a long time. They did a run called Catalyst Prime, and it was a bunch of they created these new superhero worlds with really good creators and stuff, but it really never took off and it was a little disjointed. So they brought in Gail Simone to oversee the whole thing, and they are relaunching their Catalyst Prime universe with a series called 7 Days, and that's starting this month. So hopefully she gets a good grip on it, and a lot of talent behind it. Mad Cave is one of the little company that could they're just putting out some really neat books. They did Blessed Machine that I really liked. This one's Woven Heart, and basically Woven Heart is this organization led by Van Helsing, started it, and they're there to take on all the creepy things in Earth, and they got infiltrated and taken over by all the great villains, and now they have to try to get back. Oni has an interesting one, Render #1, where Emmy is a photographer who can take the last image that a person sees before their death and can develop that, and she's working with a skeptical detective to try to figure out all these stale murder cases. Titan is doing Robotech Remix, which is putting a different spin on the classic anime robot series that people love, so they're kind of retweaking it and redoing it, so that should be fun. Valiant has a new one called Roku, which is written by Cullen Bunn and drawn by Ramon Box, where killing her way around the globe, the deadly weapon called Roku will face a challenge she can't simply execute. So they always try something different, so I give them a lot of credit for that. Vault has one called Money Shot, where a bunch of scientists go off and are trying to seek fame and fortune and having sex with aliens and putting it on Instagram. So we'll see where that goes. But I think Tim Seeley's involved with that one, so that should be fun. And then Zenoscope has a bunch. They have a Halloween special, and they have another one called Monster Planet, where A mysterious virus has created, most of the people have turned to their primal natures, and scientists have to go to Dracula to solve the problem, but Dracula hates man, so will he go against his natural instincts to save the people he hates? So we'll see where that goes. So lots of Halloweeny goodness, lots of neat new stories, but yeah, everything's a little bit on the darker side, but that's kind of typical for October, because October is always Halloweeny. So that's what we got coming up in October. My book club we're going to pick, but it's going to be some horror-related book for the monthly special is going to be double points on all Halloween or horror titles. Halloween Comic Fest is coming up the last Saturday of the month, so please come by. We'll have a costume contest and all sorts of fun stuff going on here. So if you have any questions or want to get a hold of me, it's pittsburghcomics.com. Facebook is Pittsburgh Comics. Twitter and Instagram are PGH Comics. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for Comic Previews Theater. Thanks.
Had no idea all those years back.
Please, no, don't do this.
You sided with the Boss King.
When I smeared a pentagram on my chest and called forth the devil.
And this is how you shall pay.
When I traded my soul to save the man who'd been like a father to me. When I damned myself to an eternity spent in servitude to that Mephisto.
All hail Mephisto.
Back then, I never once thought that all this time later,
Through the sacrifice to our one true king, the portal is open.
I'd rise through the ranks from servant.
Now, quickly, before we ever discover. Too late.
To King of Hell.
Oh no, it's Johnny Blaze. Run! Johnny Blaze is the other guy. Today, you get the Ghost Rider.
Used to think that the old management didn't do much more than walk around on Earth, causing discord and collecting souls to torment the torture in hell. But so far, seems most of my time is spent trying to keep the ex-murderer, sinner, demon scum in hell.
This is the third escape attempt I busted in the last week. Where are the others headed to, Batrong?
I'm not telling you anything. You are not our true king.
The K. Have the guards bring him to level 7, dip him in boiling oil, and have his flesh flayed. Hopefully that will loosen his lips.
Sure thing, boss.
And make sure no one else leaves through this portal while I'm gone.
Now, let's find us some demons.